Joining us today is Victorian Grandmaster Bob Jones and Deputy Grandmaster Hillel Benedict. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Wes.
Thanks, Wes. Good to be here.
Now, we've received hundreds of emails and phone calls from people interested in knowing more about Freemasonry. Firstly, what about some of the other religious organisations, the other churches? Do some of those consider Freemasonry to be sinful? And if so, why?
No, not to my knowledge. There's obviously particular people in particular churches have a different view of Freemasonry than perhaps the organisation of that religion. We're not a religion. We are having a faith, having a belief in a supreme being is the only connection we have. To join Freemasonry, you have to have that belief in a supreme being. And it doesn't matter what that is, what religion that is. So I don't see that there's any contradiction at all in different faiths.
No, and just to sort of support that statement, I'm of the Jewish faith, and there's certainly been some distinguished rabbis from the Victorian community that have been Freemasons, and there's certainly quite a lot of Jewish brethren, and there's certainly no conflict there either.
So what about people who are not part of a mainstream church? Could they become Freemasons or even an atheist? You mentioned the need to believe in a supreme being.
Well, it's an interesting question, because certainly an atheist doesn't have my understanding of an atheist is that they don't have a belief in any sort of being or supreme being. So they would be excluded from joining Freemasonry for obvious reasons. But again, as Hillel said, we have Muslims, we have Jewish brethren, we have Christians, we have every faith, and that's the beauty of Freemasonry. We're non-denominational. We cross all boundaries of religion. A belief in a supreme being is the bottom line.
Do you accept members who are openly gay in Freemasonry?
What a man's personal life is exactly nothing to do with us whatsoever. It's never come into. It's not a question we ask of men when they join. Men are believe in a supreme being and are good men who are vouched for by referees and the like. So, in fact, in my own lodge, there's a gay man, and he's become one of my very close friends, and I don't have any problem with that at all. There's no problem with his sexuality and Freemasonry. There's no issue at all.
Do Freemasons give preference to other Freemasons when it comes to business? Does it help to be a Freemason to get on within your business life?
I think if somebody joins Freemasonry with that thought in mind, then they'll probably end up being disappointed. Having said that, Freemasons respect each other, and the basis of the organisation is around integrity and honesty and trust. So if you meet somebody that is a Freemason, you expect that person to have those values. So that's the consideration you would give.
Now, one of the questions we received was about Freemasonry being associated with skulls and crossbones and drinking blood. Is there any truth in that, or is that just some sort of urban myth?
It's just myth. It's a nonsensical question. It's one of those things that we use some emblems of mortality in our teachings, but they're exactly that, to teach that when this mortal life's finished, what you end up as. There's no sinister connotation whatsoever.
And I think the skull became popular in Dan Brown's writings, and that perpetuated the myth.
The Da Vinci Code?
Yes.
So it's nothing to do with creating a new world order or the secret of hidden treasures from centuries ago?
Wes, can I put it to you this way? We can't get a railway line from Melbourne to Brisbane, the one gauge, in 100 years. How on earth are we going to organise, we can't organise parliaments to agree with one another. No, there's absolutely no, whilst here in Australia and New Zealand we have all our jurisdictions are totally independent. We get together from time to time, once every 2 years, to discuss the issues within our own jurisdiction. But believe me, New South Wales, Queensland, and all the other states are just like football teams and cricket teams. We love to love them, and we like to hate them as well sometimes, in a friendly sort of way. But no, there's no there's nothing like a world order.
Is it accurate to describe Freemasonry as a cult?
No, is the short answer, Wes. I don't think we try and guide people to do anything and to follow us blindly. If there's teachings that they relate to, I guess, self-discovery and improving your skills and your confidence, but we don't ask people to do things that are against the law, against religion, against anything in society. We integrate into society, and we're just normal people, normal average people.
My understanding of a cult is that it's a group of people who don't hold views that would be commonly held by the public. We are certainly not in that category. We are very much ordinary people, citizens, law-abiding citizens in the community that wouldn't hold those sort of radical views that perhaps a cult conjures up.
How do you respond to those people who sometimes say that Masonic ceremonies include satanic rituals?
I'd say they're wrong. Satanic rituals, again, my interpretation would be bad thoughts, bad things, bad vibes. Freemasonry is certainly a place where we encourage life lessons, encourage the progression of men, not bad things, good things. We bring the good out of a man. We help him to develop his personality, develop his speaking skills. It certainly doesn't conjure up anything like the bad image or the bad connotation I have with the word Satan or satanic, not at all.
So not consistent with Masonic ideals?
Not at all. Not for the reasons I've just mentioned. Not at all. It's we are good men doing good deeds, not only within the lodge environment but in the community. So couldn't be further from the connotation that I hold of the word Satan and satanic.
Well, thank you for being here today to answer questions. Look forward to chatting with you more next time.
It was our pleasure.
Thanks, Wes.
Recently we've been speaking with the Grand Master of Victorian Freemasons, Bob Jones, and Deputy Grand Master Hillel Benedict. And the gentlemen are here again today to answer some more questions. Welcome back.
Thank you, Wes. Good to be back.
Always good to be here, Wes.
Firstly, why do you exclude women from joining? It's a popular question. It seems to come up often.
Yes, we hear it all the time, Wes. Freemasonry has existed for over 300 years as a male organisation, I guess dedicated to the personal and emotional development of men. And whilst our wives, our partners, our families are very much included in Freemasonry, there's never been a need for the women to be included in the actual ceremony of the lodge. They're included in every other aspect of it.
Do you think that they will be allowed to become members in time?
I don't see the need for women to join Freemasonry. They have their own organisations where they can get their moment with their own, with women, with other females. There's gymnasiums, CWA, there's a number of organisations that exist like Freemasonry does for women.
Is it true that Freemasonry doesn't accept members who are Catholic?
There's no truth to that at all, Wes. I'm not sure what the exact percentage is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was at least a third of the membership are Catholics. There's no inconsistency between joining Freemasonry and being a Catholic.
And yet there seems to be a bit of a history about Catholics and Freemasons. How did that come about?
I think it's probably more myth than it is fact, but certainly Freemasonry is not a religion, and as such, we pose no threat whatsoever to any of the mainstay religions at all.
Everybody likes a bit of mystery and intrigue, and this question fascinated me. Was Jack the Ripper a Freemason?
My deputy's right up on those sort of historical facts. I'll let him answer this one.
Well, I'd have to ask you who was Jack the Ripper in order to answer that question, but it's another one of those myths that's been perpetuated over a considerable period of time. I don't think there's any evidence to support who Jack the Ripper was. Could have been a female. There's one theory, I think it says it was a female surgeon. So I can't give you an answer to that question, unfortunately.
So much is made about the secrecy surrounding Freemasonry. What is it that's so secret that only the initiated members are allowed to know?
We laugh because today nothing is secret. Everything's available on the internet. Just ask Dr. Google, he'll give you the answer. So there are a couple of things that are shared in private as part of the ceremonies. Those things you could find pretty readily on the internet, and it's more that they're a token of trust and integrity, and that's why you won't hear them directly from a Freemason. But there's certainly no great air of secrecy in terms of what goes on inside a lodge room.
If I could just add to that, I think we promised at the start of this this series of shows that we would give you, open up and give you the inside story. Our secrets, as Hillel has said, are just that. They're tests of merit, tests of integrity, tests of trustworthiness. They make up, a very small percentage, maybe 1 or 2% of the Masonic experience. And whilst I can't give you or your listeners those secrets, because I've taken an oath not to, and my fellow brethren know that they can trust me because I'm not going to give away those secrets. Not to say there's anything sinister about it, there's nothing. It's the way we recognise one another, and we know that because we haven't given away those secrets, we can trust one another.
So if the secrets in Freemasonry can only be shared among people who are members, does that mean that they can't be shared with wives and partners?
In general terms, I think that's right. As in a partnership, we all have our own secrets that we wouldn't discuss with anybody else. In work terms, we all have secrets that we wouldn't discuss with other people, and Freemasonry is no different to that. I don't think that me keeping a secret handshake or a secret word has any derogatory effect on my relationship with my wife or my family. We still share secrets just as everybody else does within that family unit.
I was just thinking I don't usually share my PIN number with even my close family, so maybe that's not so strange.
That's right, and as I've pointed out before, your PIN number to your banking experience is a very small part of the experience of banking. So are our secrets. They are a very small part of what Freemasonry really is.
And I've never had the occasion where my wife has asked me what those particular things are. Never once has she asked.
Now, one of the themes that came through in questions was about goats. Is there any truth to goats being part of Masonic ceremonies?
It's another one of those myths that's perpetuated over many, many years. There's no part of the ceremony that has any connection to goats. When a man becomes an entered apprentice Freemason, and when he first comes into the lodge, joins the Freemasonry, he's given a white lambskin or white apron. Again, a symbol of innocence, purity. In the old days, it was made out of lambskin. Maybe there's been some people joining dots, making 1 and 1 make 3, I guess, but no, there's absolutely nothing to do with goats. Just another one of those myths.
I've travelled to lodges in 4 different countries, and I've been to a lot of them in Australia. Have not seen one goat anywhere near a Masonic centre so far.
Well, there are hot topics for today, so look forward to having you back another time for some more chat. Grand Master Bob Jones, Deputy Grand Master Hillel Benedict.
Thank you, Wes.
It's been a pleasure, Wes.
Joining me again today is Victorian Grand Master Bob Jones and Deputy Grand Master Hillel Benedict. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Good to be back, Wes.
Thanks, Wes.
Firstly, so if Freemasonry is not a religious organisation, why is it that you pray within ceremonies?
I think the prayers that we take are no different to the prayers that are taken at scout halls and in schools and the likes. They're to honour everybody's faith that we're able to, just like the honouring of the Queen, the head of our country. They're the laws of the land. We honour them. So there's nothing sinister at all about having small prayers that are, again, cross all faiths. There's nothing there that upsets any of the faiths that I'm aware of.
They're probably more like ceremonial prayers and things like saying grace before meals. not considered a religion to do those sorts of things.
Now, if Freemasons Victoria is opening its doors to the public, is it possibly time to do away with those secrets? Are they still needed?
I think they are. They've existed for over 300 years as a test of merit, as I've pointed out before. I think they need to remain, and it's, I guess, one of those tests of trustworthiness that you can hang on to and hang your hat on. And I think I don't see any change of that, certainly in the foreseeable future.
I'd be confident that if you asked any Freemason today, would their experience have been improved by knowing those few things before they joined? I think they'd all say no. It's the process of how it's explained to people, and it's those tests that the Grand Master mentioned that make them of value.
A lot has been said about ceremonies and ceremonies of initiation. What is it that takes place during an initiation ceremony? What is it that happens for somebody to become a Freemason?
Before he even gets to that point, he's put through a rigorous examination, if you like, a one-on-one discussion with other Freemasons, experienced Freemasons, usually with their wives and partners and their families, should they wish to, because we believe today, more than ever, the partners are more involved in what their husbands and partners are doing, and they need to know as much about Freemasonry as we can tell them. So before you enter Freemasonry, you know a whole lot more than perhaps we did when we joined 30 and 40 years ago. When they come in to be initiated into Freemasonry, you use the word initiation. It has connotations about it, but there's nothing sinister at all. It's a play. It's a play that shows a man the progress that he makes through life, coming in as a good, vouched for man, and at the end of the lessons is a much better man and a much more polished man. So that ceremony has been the same, pretty much the same for 300 years. And I think it's important. That's what stands us apart from other similar sort of groups to us. That ceremony and that play has carried on for such a long time, and it'll remain that way for, I hope, for another 300 years.
As you say, there is a bit of a connotation with the word initiation. So there's nothing embarrassing to the individual. There's nothing for them to be concerned about if they're entering that initiation.
There's nothing that any person joining Freemasonry goes through that everybody else hasn't gone through, and it's intended not to embarrass anybody or put them in an uncomfortable situation. The lodge is supposed to be a safe environment for men to grow and develop, and that starts from the time they join.
Are the public able to watch any of the Masonic ceremonies that take place? If you are in fact opening the doors and dispelling myths surrounding Freemasonry, why don't you allow the public to visit ceremonies?
Well, in fact we do, Wes. For a number of years now we've had what we call open installations, open consecrations or reconsecrations of lodges that perhaps become celebrating 100 years in existence, and the Grand Master and the Deputy, and with our Grand Lodge team, our ceremonial team, go out and perform these ceremonies, and we perform them in public, in Masonic buildings with wives, partners, friends, family, local dignitaries. So there's nothing secret about our ceremonies. In fact, last year at my installation, when I was installed as Grand Master, we actually streamed the show across the world into 26 countries in the world. So if keeping the secret, as you say, and keeping it indoors was the norm, then there's 26 countries out there know what we do here in Victoria.
It seems that Freemasons are very charitable people and are known for giving very generously to the community, volunteering time as well to help others. Do you have to be wealthy to be a Freemason?
Certainly not. Certainly not. It's again, there's lots of things we do within Freemasonry that flattens that out, flattens out the social structure. As I've already indicated before, that you know you're bought into Freemasonry virtually poor and penniless, because that's the way you leave this earth, poor and penniless. So, and it's the lessons that you learn. We simple things like we wear gloves, white gloves. Again, if you're a blue collar worker or a white collar worker, it doesn't make any difference. Your hands are rough or smooth, doesn't matter. With gloves on, we're all equal. Whether you're the Grand Master or the newest Freemason in the jurisdiction, we are all equal. Socially, economically, we all wear a dinner suit. Again, one of the reasons for using that is we're all the same.
Are Freemasons obligated to conceal the criminal activities of other members?
Quite the contrary. Quite the contrary. If we would exclude anybody who had a criminal record, firstly they wouldn't be admitted into Freemasonry, but if they transgressed while they were a member, they would be excluded pretty much immediately.
Now, you mentioned doing good deeds. Do Freemasons have some ulterior motive for those good deeds? What do they really expect to get out of it, or do they really care about the community to be so selfless?
It's a bit like any volunteer organisation, and I think it was encapsulated in one of our earlier episodes in this series, where one of our volunteers was asked by yourself, I believe, what he got out of the day of volunteering to help a kid's Christmas party, and his eyes welled up and he said, to see the faces of those young children having a Christmas party for the first time, experiencing that gift of friendship and safety, and that told it all to me. That's the bottom line. We get out of it in that environment there, helping the Variety Club in that instance, the looks of the children with our scholarships, the looks when I shake the hands of those young people going on in their scholastic endeavours, to see the look of exhilaration of receiving a scholarship. That's what does it.
No ulterior motive?
Oh, far from it. Far from it. We're a very giving organisation. We give a lot of money away every year throughout the whole jurisdiction, and we do it very quietly. In fact, in this series, we hope to bring a little bit of that to the floor to show people what we do in the community, and I'm sure people will see sides of Freemasonry that perhaps have been a bit of a secret, have been a bit of a mystery.
Now, it seems the number of members is declining, and sometimes members resign. If Freemasonry is a true brotherhood, why would people choose to leave, do you think?
I think that there's a lot of reasons why people join organisations and leave organisations. And Freemasonry, I guess, is the same in that some people may join and not get what they were after. They may have had the wrong impression. They may have thought they'd do better in business. They could be time poor. They could be working shifts and make it difficult to go. They may get moved interstate. Our age demographic is changing as well. We've got a lot of elderly brethren today, and some of them are at that stage where they're towards the end of their lives. So that sort of decline in membership we can't stop. The members we're getting in today tend to be in their mid-30s, and they're looking for something that they believe Freemason offers them.
Particularly in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years, we've managed to stem the tide of those leaving. I think that comes through better education. We've introduced all sorts of Masonic educational programs into our systems, and I think the men that join Freemasonry, they all join for different reasons, and now we're better equipped to satisfy all those different reasons, and the rate of those leaving has dropped by 75–80% over the last couple of years, and it's a bit like, remember, in my whole sporting career I played for a couple of cricket clubs, and why did I swap cricket clubs when I should have been happy with one? Coach changed, administration changed, they wanted me to be the captain, I didn't want to be the captain, so I moved. But there's all sorts of reasons why people come and go from any organisation, but I think in Freemasonry As I've indicated, we're educating our men a lot better than we've ever done, and they find their niche, whatever it might be, within the framework of Freemasonry.
And because there's so much information available today, they're pretty well informed prior to joining. Whereas years ago they might have joined, just because their father said, you should join, or their friend said do this. But today everybody's pretty well informed. They know quite a lot before they join, so they're not as easily disappointed when they come in. It's what they expect.
Gentlemen, appreciate your time very much today. Thank you very much for speaking with us. Grandmaster Bob Jones and Deputy Grandmaster Hillel Benedict.
It's been our pleasure, Wes.
Thanks, Wes.